friends! Have you ever read the story of Are You My Mother by P.D. Eastman? It's all about a little bird who falls out of his nest and has to go looking for his mother. He eventually finds her, so the story ends very happy, and they go back to live in the nest together. So I thought it would be very fun if we could make a craft that goes along with this story. We're going to make a craft of a bird in a nest. So here are the supplies that you need to make your bird in a nest craft. So you need a pair of scissors. You need some coloring supplies, markers, crayons, colored pencils. I've got some special kinds of markers here with me that I'm going to use. And you want a glue stick or a bottle of glue, or even tape would work, okay? You also need 3 pieces of paper. Now, the paper can be colored construction paper, or it can be plain white computer paper, or it can be just regular notebook paper. Whatever you have at your house will work fine. So I have some construction paper here at my house, so that's what I'm going to use. But if I didn't have any construction paper, I could color my white paper or my notebook paper, whatever color I wanted the different parts of the craft to be. So first, I have a piece of paper that I'm going to use for the nest. I'm going to use this color to make a nest. Then I have a background piece of paper that I'm going to glue the different parts of it. And then I have another piece of paper that I'm going to use to make the body of the bird out of. So I'm going to take my background paper. I picked blue because the sky is blue. I'm going to put my background paper just off to the side. I'm not going to need it until a little bit later. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece of paper that I'm going to use to make my nest. Okay, I chose brown. You can choose any color, or you can use white paper and add the color yourself with crayon, magic marker, colored pencil, whatever coloring supplies you have at your house. So what I'm going to do is the first thing, I'm going to hamburger fold this piece of paper. I'm going to very carefully line it up so it looks wide and fat like a hamburger bun. Not tall and skinny like a hot dog bun. We're not hot dog folding, we're hamburger folding. So I'm going to hamburger fold. I'm going to just do my very, very best to line up the edges and try to get it as even as I possibly can. And then I'm going to crease it like this. Now, what I'm going to do is I've got my half piece of paper here. And I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to spread out my fingers and I'm going to put it on top of the paper. And then using a pencil or a crayon or a marker, whatever I have, I'm going to trace around my hand. So I'm using this dark black marker to help you see. So I'm going to trace around the shape of my hand. Go in between the fingers, around and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then when I get to my wrist, I'm going to stop. See, I have an outline of my hand there. And I have an empty spot from where my wrist was. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect each side of my hand. Just going to draw another line to make it like that. See? And now I have the outline of a hand. So what I'm going to do is, keeping the paper folded like this, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to carefully as I can cut out the shape of the hand. I'm going to cut both pieces of paper at the same time. So we'll see what happens. Do you see how I'm cutting around? cutting both pieces of paper at the same time. And it can be a little bit tricky, friends, to cut in between the finger marks, but just do your very best. If it's not perfect, that's okay. With art, as long as you are trying your best and you're not making a mess on purpose, whatever you do is great. So once I finish cutting out my hand shape that I drew on this piece of paper, I'll show you what we have. You'll see we have this extra trash. I'm just going to set that to the side. I could use that a little bit later or use it for another art project or recycle it. And I have an outline of my hand cut out. But guess what? When I peel apart, I have two. I have two of them. So these are what we're going to use to make the nest. All right? So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to set my nest to the side on top of my background paper. Then I'm going to take another piece of paper and I'm going to use that for my bird. So any color you want, you can color it any color you want. And I'm gonna do the same thing, but I only need one bird, so I'm just gonna put my hand on the piece of paper I wanna use for my bird. I'm gonna trace around it just like I did with the nest, and I'm gonna cut around it just like I did with the nest. And then I'll have an outline of a hand right here, see? All right, so what you should have right now, boys and girls, is you should have two handprints that you're going to use for the nest and one handprint that you're going to use for the bird. And you've got your background piece of paper right here. So first, I'm going to decide how I want my background paper. Do I want it nice and tall like this, or do I want it wide like this? Either way is fine. It's your choice. I think I'm going to do mine the wide way because I have big grown-up hands. You have little small friend hands, so you would be able to probably fit them either way. So I'm going to do it the wide way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my two handprints that are my nests, and I'm going to put the glue on the yucky side. Do you see here? This is the yucky side where you can see the marker from me outlining my hand. So I'm gonna put the glue on the yucky side, all right? So I'm using a glue stick. Again, you could use tape, you could use bottled glue, whatever you have. So I'm putting it on the yucky side of my first handprint to make the nest. Oops, knocked over my glue stick. There we go. All right. And I'm going to glue it at the bottom, okay, towards the bottom of my piece of paper. So I'm going to glue it here. Here is this nest. And notice I didn't put glue on the fingers yet. I just put glue on the palm of the hand part. The fingers are kind of up and out there. All right, so I've got the first part of my nest. Now I'm going to take my other handprint, and it probably doesn't have a yucky side because it was the one that you cut out. So I'm just going to put some glue on the palm of the other handprint I'm using to make my nest. I'm going to put some glue there, and then I'm going to glue it onto the bottom of my paper. Again, I haven't put glue on the fingers. I've just put glue on the palm. Okay, and I've made sure that my thumbs are pointing up. So do you see how I've glued it like this? And the thumbs are both at the top. Okay, so now I've got the fingers and they're not glued on yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of overlap the fingers together to kind of make them together, just like a bird weaves the straw and the sticks and everything to make its nest. I'm going to weave the fingers together to make my craft nest. So I'm going to have one finger down and the other finger over, one finger down and the other finger over, alternating, making a pattern. All right? So then I have it like this, and it weaves together to make a nest shape. And I'm just going to add a little bit of glue underneath the fingers just to help them stay down. And then I have the nest for my bird. Fun is this. All right. And I've got my nest right here now. See? And then just press it down so it stays nice and glued. If you see any extra glue, it'll dry clear. So don't worry about that. So I've got my nest. Now, the next thing I need to do is I need to make my bird. So I'm going to get my handprint that I'm using for my bird. So I am making a red bird. What is the name of a bird that is red? Do you know? Cardinals are red. That's a red bird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my handprint and I'm going to make sure that the thumb is up. The thumb is up, all right? And that the fingers are pointing backwards, okay? So this is going to be the face of the bird, and this is kind of going to be some feathers coming out of its head, and then the feathers coming out of its tail, all right? So I'm just going to put some glue on the back and then glue it so it looks like this on my paper. I'm going to glue it real fast. And this one you want to glue all of it, okay? You want to glue the palm and you also want to glue the fingers because you want it to stick down really well. You don't want your birdie to fly out of your nest. All right, so I take it and I'm going to glue my birdie in the nest. I'm going to glue my birdie in the nest right here. So I glued my bird in the nest. Now, my hands are very big. So you see that my bird, his head feathers are kind of sticking over the paper a little bit. Yours probably won't, but if they do, that's okay. It just kind of makes it look 3D. So I have my nest and I have my bird. Now I need to use my crayons, markers, colored pencils, whatever art supplies that I have to add some detail to make the hand in the nest really look like a bird. So, what are the parts of a body that a bird might need? I know, birds need eyes. They must be able to see. So I'm going to give my birdie I'm going to give him an eye. I'm going to draw a circle, and then I'm going to color in a little dot there, give him a little eye. All right? And then what else do birdies have? I remember birdies have beaks, right? They have to have their mouths. So I'm going to use my black to make an outline of the beak. And a triangle is a really good shape for a bird beak. Do you see how I drew that there? All right. So now I'm going to color in the bird's beak. So you could do yellow or orange or really any color that you'd like. You can be creative. You can draw, you can be making a bird craft that's realistic, that looks a lot like a real bird. Or you can be making a bird craft that is kind of imaginary and creative. It is your choice. So here, boys and girls, I colored in my beak. I colored it yellow, all right? And then I just added kind of like a little nostril for my bird. And now I have a bird in a nest. So I could add detail to my background paper. If I wanted to draw maybe some leaves of the tree that it's in, I could maybe draw some fluffy shapes like that and then color them green. Or I could do clouds in the background, or I could draw some branches. Whatever you want, just as long as you're being creative and you're having a good time. So here is how you make a bird in a nest handprint craft. I hope you had lots of fun making this craft with me, boys and girls. I had a lot of fun making it. All right, have lots of fun. Bye-bye.